Hello, Planeswalkers! Andrew here, joined by Tyler. Today we're bringing you a brand new Top 5. Today's list is going to be on Dimir commanders. Now, these are our personal favorites, so be sure to let us know what your favorites are in the comments below. And with that, let's jump into it. At number 5 is the obligatory Greek-inspired commander, Phenax, God of Deception. He's based on Hermes, who, among other things, is the god of thieves, as well as the son of Erebus, Dolos, spirit of trickery, and Ati, the spirit of mischief and delusion. Thank you, MTG Wiki. Phenax is a mean mill commander, wanting to run tons of creatures with big butts, like walls, with which to mill his opponents out. But mill is real mean, and I don't really want to run it, so no, I'm not going to build this deck.
Taking my number 5 spot is someone who's here not for what he does, but more for what he is. It's Ramirez De Pietro, the brash and cocky young pirate from Legends. A 6-mana 4/3 with first strike, he's arguably one of the, I'm gonna say, better legendary creatures from that era, even if that really isn't saying much. The real reason I love him though is because he's one of the few legendary creatures with a common printing. Granted, it comes from the digital-only printing of Masters Edition 3, but it still counts. Making him one of the only commanders available for Pauper Commander if you're a real stickler for the Commons-only rule. Yes, I know that Pauper Commander offers a looser rule in regards to what you can have as a commander, such as having just an uncommon non-legend, but I have more fun when I restrict myself more, which is why he's the commander of my Pauper Pirates commander deck. We even got to see what he, or rather his ghost, has been up to nowadays thanks to Commander Legends giving us the ghost of Ramirez De Pietro. So, I guess, rest in peace, Sailor. You were gone too soon. Or maybe he wasn't. I don't actually know how old he was when he died, and I don't even know if he did. My number 4 pick is a bit of a controversial one for myself, since it's only been recently that I've given into mill being a not incredibly evil tactic in Commander, and that's Una, Queen of the Fae. That all being said, you don't necessarily have to build her as a mill commander, since her ability to mill an opponent's library also gives you fairy tokens. I like that kind of flexibility in a commander, especially when one of the other options that they have is tribal, as is the case with Una. You can sit down at a table and maybe not immediately get hated out of existence by the entire group if you let them know that you don't intend to mill them out, but it may happen as a side effect. It's not technically lying, and technically correct is indeed the best kind of correct.
I haven't cheated in a bit, so here's a pair of commanders that I like purely because of flavor. At number 4 I have Armix, Filigree Thrasher, and its creator, Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. Silas is a cyborg who created Armix, and he lets you cast an artifact from your grave whenever he deals combat damage to a player. And Armix lets you discard a card when it attacks to give a creature -X/-X, where X is the number of artifacts on your field and in your grave. They work together so well, letting you pitch a card to remove a creature, even an indestructible one, and then if it was an artifact, Silas can let you cast it from your grave anyways. Plus, I just like that we have finally got a creature card for the machine that Silas was building in this card art, and they both have partner. Absolutely perfect. Thirdly is Atris, Oracle of Half-Truths. That's right, on this list you get a twofer of Greek legendaries. Atris isn't a reference to any specific Greek myth, as far as I know, however he is a reference to oracles, obviously, who would communicate with the gods and pass on their word to other mortals. Obviously he's not a very honest oracle, and true to the flavor, he has an opponent separate the top 3 cards of your deck into 2 piles when he enters, and you get to choose one to add to your hand. I've always liked fact or fiction, and while it's not optimal, it is a fun politics card. Pick an opponent who would benefit from helping you, and you just might get all the cards in one pile.
Look, I like zombies. Despite my personal Twitter mascot and persona, my absolute favorite card in the game is Gravecrawler, a 2/1 zombie for a single black who can't block, and who can be cast from the grave if you control a zombie. That's why my number 3 pick is Grim Grain, Corpseborn. His ability of being a free sacrifice outlet in order to get counters and untap himself plays incredibly nicely with Gravecrawler, who can just come back again and again since Grim Grain is himself a zombie. generate infinite mana and Grimgrin becomes a one-shot kill. Hell, even without infinite mana, it's incredibly easy to just build him up to a 1 or 2 shot range anyways. He's an incredibly efficient and powerful commander for one of my absolute favorite tribes who synergizes with one of my absolute favorite cards. Taking my silver medal in the second spot is Dragon Lord Silentgar, the first commander I ever actually built. One of my biggest problems when I'm brewing a deck is having to cut cards, since there's always so many that I want to play. Luckily for me, Dragon Lord Silentgar lets me play with other people's cards, meaning that I don't have to worry as much. Plus, being in blue, he has access to tons upon tons of mind control type attacks, meaning that I can play with even more of my opponent's things. I'll never forget the first game that I ever played with him when I stole somebody's Voltron commander and I beat them to death with it. Good times. Good times. Also, probably didn't help that the deck also kind of had a minor infect sub-theme, so I was the new guy with a hated deck, and it was a great way for me to establish myself at that game shop. I never played the deck
Da 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 da. Demon Kraken. Da do do do. Demon Kraken. Da do 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 do. Thalassophobia. Garuda, Doom of Depths is my number 2 choice, with the unique typing of Demon Kraken. Although it's one of the 10 companions, I don't think many people run them as companions, at least not in Commander. As for Garuda, when it enters, everyone mills 4 and you get to put a creature with an even CMC from among them onto your field. Combine it with blink effects like Thassa, Deep Dwelling, and Panharmonicon to really cut your opponent's decks down, and probably cheat out some creatures onto your board in the process. At number 1 is a Rami of the Dead Tide. This Merfolk wizard can tap to have you exile cards from your grave equal to the number of opponents, and give a creature in your grave encore equal to its mana cost, which lets you pay and exile this creature, and make a copy of it for each of your opponents that attacks them this turn if able, and they get exiled at their end step. I love this commander for the sole reason that Encore is my favorite new mechanic from Commander Legends, and this card lets you give it to any creature in your grave. What's more, you're in the perfect colors for self-mill. Garuda, who would be great in the 99 of this deck, letting you mill yourself for 4 and fill your grave with enough cards to both pay for Rami's exile cost and give the 4th card Encore, assuming you hit a creature with Garuda. Encore is a great mechanic for ETBs and combat triggers, and I love a Rami for that.
And finally, taking my number 1 spot is Silentgar. Again. Depicted as a younger dragon before his ascent to Elder Dragon status, Silentgar the Drifting Death is the current commander of the retooled deck his elder counterpart used to lead. I switched the deck to focus more on infect, so he seemed like more of the flavorful option. Plus, hexproof is my favorite keyword of all time, since it lets me worry less about my threats having to stick on the board. And while, yes, he probably would be more efficient in a deck that runs way more dragons, turning his -1/-1 ability into a super one-sided board wipe, I've always valued flavor over efficiency. So you know, if it upsets you, maybe die mad about it. Or don't. My commander has hexproof, so you can't target him with your salt.
And there you have the list. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and think about subscribing. It really helps us out a lot. And as I said at the start of the video, please let us know what your favorite blue and black commanders are in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And with that, have a great day, y'all.